I'm standing in front of you today in all humility, wanting to share with you my journey of the last 6 years in the field of service and education. I'm not a trained academic, neither am I a veteran social worker. I was 26 years in the corporate world, trying to make organizations profitable. And then in 2003, I started Parikrama Humanity Foundation from my kitchen table. The first thing that we did was walk through the slums. By the way, there are 2 million people in Bangalore who live in 800 slums. We couldn't go to all the slums, but we tried to cover as much as we could. We walked through these slums, identified houses where children would never go to school. We talked to the parents, tried to convince them about sending their children to school. We played with the children and came back home really tired, exhausted, but with images of bright faces, twinkling eyes, and went to sleep. We were all excited to start. But the numbers hit us then. 200 million children between 4 to 14 that should be going to school but do not. 100 million children who go to school but cannot read. 125 million who cannot do basic maths. We also heard that 250 billion Indian rupees was dedicated for government schooling. 90% that was spent on teacher's salary and administrator's salary. And yet, India has nearly the highest teacher absenteeism in the world, with 1 out of 4 teachers not going to school at all the entire academic year. Those numbers were absolutely mind-boggling, overwhelming, and we were constantly asked, when will you start, how many schools will you start, how many children will you get, how are you going to scale, how are you going to replicate. It was very difficult not to get scared, not to get daunted, but we dug our heels and said, we're not in the number game. We want to take one child at a time and take the child right through school, send to college, and get them prepared for better living, a high-valued job. So we started Parikrama. The first Parikrama school started in a slum where there are about 70,000 people living below the poverty line. Our first school was on a rooftop of a building inside the slums, a second-story building, only second-story building inside the slums. And that rooftop did not have any ceiling, only half a tin sheet. That was our first school, 165 children. Indian academic year begins in June, so June it rains. So many a times all of us would be huddled under the tin roof waiting for the rain to stop. My God, what a bonding exercise that was. And all of us that were under that roof are still here together today. Then came the second school, the third school, the fourth school, and a junior college. In 6 years now, we have 4 schools, 1 junior college, 1,100 children coming from 28 slums and 4 orphanages. Our dream is very simple, to send each of these kids, get them prepared to live, to be educated, but also to live peacefully, contented in this conflict-ridden, chaotic, globalized world. Now, when you talk global, you have to talk English. And so all our schools are English medium schools. But then there's this myth that children from the slums cannot speak English well. No one in their family spoke in English. No one in their generation spoke in English. But how wrong it is.
I like adventurous books because, and one of my favorites are like Alfred Hitchcock and The Three Investigators, Hardy Boys, and Harry Potter. All those three are like, although they are like in different contexts. One is like magical, the other two are like investigation. I like those books because they have something special in them. The vocabulary used in those books and the way, the style of writing. I mean, like once I pick up one book, I cannot put it down till I finish the whole book. It's like, even if it takes me like 4.5 hours or 3.5 hours to finish one book, I do it.
I did a Google search and I got the information about world's fastest cars. I like Ducati ZZ143 because it is the fastest, it is the world's fastest bike, and I like Pulsar 220 GTSI because it is India's fastest bike.
Well, the girl that you saw, her father sells flowers on the roadside. And this little boy has been coming to school for 5 years. But isn't it strange that little boys all over the world love fast bikes? He hasn't seen one, he hasn't ridden one, of course, but he has done a lot of research through Google search. You know, when we started with our English medium schools, we also decided to adopt the best curriculum possible, the ICSE curriculum. And again, there were people who laughed at me and said, "Don't be crazy, choosing such a tough curriculum for these children, they'll never be able to cope." Not only do our children cope very well, but they excel in it. You should just come across to see how well our children do. There's also this myth that parents from the slums are not interested in their children going to school, they'd much rather put them to work. That's absolute hogwash. All parents all over the world want their children to lead a better life than themselves. But they need to believe that change is possible.
क्लीनिंग और खाना पीना और इंग्लिश में बात करना और थोड़ा सा रेस्पेक्ट करना मम्मी डैडी से, ये सब बहुत सीखी है सर बच्ची.
ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಅವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ತೀಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ತುಂಬ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಯಾರ ಮಾತು ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಜಗಳಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಇವಾಗ ಆ ಥರ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತುಂಬ ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ஃப்யூச்சரில் நாங்கள் என்ன ஆகணும்னு நாங்கள் கேட்டதுக்கு எங்கள் பசங்க சொல்கிறாங்க, மம்மி நான் ஆர்டிஸ்டாக தான் ஆவேன், இன்னொரு பொண்ணு கேட்டால் நான் டாக்டர் தான் ஆவேன், இன்னொரு பையன் கேட்டால் நான் சாஃப்ட்வேர் இன்ஜினியர் தான் ஆவேன் மம்மி.
We have 80% attendance for all our parents-teachers meeting. Sometimes it's even 100%, much more than many privileged schools. Fathers have started to attend. You know, it's very interesting. When we started our schools, the parents would give thumbprints in the attendance register. Now they have started writing their signature. The children have taught them. It's amazing how much children can teach. We have a few months ago, actually late last year, we had a few mothers who came to us and said, you know, we want to learn how to read and write. Can you teach us? So we started an after school for our parents, for our mothers. We had 25 mothers who came regularly after school to study, and we want to continue with this program and extend it to all other schools. 98% of our fathers are alcoholics. So you can imagine how traumatized and how dysfunctional the houses are where our children come from. We have to send the fathers to de-addiction labs, and when they come back, most times sober, we have to find a job for them so that they don't regress. We have about 3 fathers who have been trained to cook. We have taught them nutrition, hygiene, we have helped them set up their kitchen, and now they are supplying food to all our children. They do a very good job because their children are eating their food, but most importantly, this is the first time that they have got respect and they feel that they are doing something worthwhile. More than 90% of our non-teaching staff are all parents and extended families. We've started many programs just to make sure that the child comes to school. Vocational skill program for the older siblings so the younger ones are not stopped from coming to school. There's also this myth that children from the slums cannot integrate with mainstream. Take a look at this little girl who was one of the 28 children from all privileged schools, best schools in the country, that was selected for the Duke University Talent Identification Program and was sent to IIM Ahmedabad.
Duke IIMA camp, whenever we say that IIMA, it was such a pride for us to go into that camp itself, and we went there. Everybody were very friendly, especially I got a lot of friends, and I felt that my English has improved a lot going there and chatting with friends and all those. There, we met children who are with a different standard and all those different mindset, a totally different society, and I mingled with almost with everyone. They were very friendly. I had very good friends there who are from Delhi, who are from Mumbai. Even now we are in touch through Facebook. After this Ahmedabad trip, I've been totally different, mingling with people and all those. Before that, I wasn't. I feel I wasn't like this. I don't even mingle. I don't start speaking with someone so quickly. And my accent with English and all those improved a lot. And I learned football, volleyball, frisbee. Lots of games. And I wouldn't want to go to Bangalore. Let me stay here. Such a beautiful food. I enjoyed eating food. It is so beautiful. I enjoyed eating food. Like bearer will come and ask me, "Yes, ma'am, what do you want?" It is so good to hear.
This girl was working as a maid before she came to school. And today, she wants to be a neurologist. We have our children are doing brilliantly in sports. They are really excelling. There's an inter-school athletic competition that is held every year in Bangalore, where 5,000 children participate from 140 best schools in the city. Our children are. We've got the Best School Award for 3 years successively, and our children are coming back home with bag full of medals, but lots of admirers and friends. Last year there were a couple of kids from elite schools that came to ask for admissions in our school. We also have our very own dream team. Why is this happening? Why is this confidence? Is it the exposure? We have professors from MIT, Berkeley, Stanford, Indian Institute of Science who come and teach our children lots of scientific formulas, experiments, much beyond the classroom. Art, music are considered therapy and mediums of expression. We also believe that it's the content that is more important. It is not the infrastructure, not the toilets, not the libraries, but it is what actually happens in this school that is more important. Creating an environment of learning, of inquiry, of exploration is what is true education. When we started Parikrama, we had no idea which direction we were taking. We didn't hire McKinsey to do a business plan, but we know for sure that what we want to do today is take one child at a time, not get bogged with numbers, and actually see the child completes the circle of life and unleashes the total potential. We do not believe in scale because we believe in quality, and scale and numbers will automatically happen. We have corporates that have stood behind us, and we are able to now open more schools, but we began with the idea of one child at a time. This is a 5-year-old Parusharam. He was begging by a bus stop a few years ago, got picked up and is now in an orphanage, has been coming to school for the last 4.5 months. He is in kindergarten. He has learned how to speak English. We have a model by which kids can speak English and understand English in 3 months' time. I can tell you stories in English of the thirsty crow, of the crocodile, and of the giraffe. And if you ask him what he likes to do, he will say, I like sleeping, I like eating, I like playing. And if you ask him what he wants to do, he will say, I want to horsing. Now, horsing is going for a horse ride. So, Parish comes to my office every day. He comes for a tummy rub because he believes that will give me luck. When I started Parikrama, I began with a great deal of arrogance of transforming the world. But today, I have been transformed. I have been changed with my children. I have learned so much from them: love, compassion, imagination, and such creativity. Parashuram is Parikrama with a simple beginning, but a long way to go. I promise you, Parashuram will speak in the TED conference a few years from now. Thank you.